Saudi Arabia just launched a $1 trillion gamble in the desert. A city called The Line, promised to be 170 kilometers long, car-free, and powered entirely by clean energy. Unlike endless architectural dreams, this mega project is actually happening. Over 140,000 workers are on site right now. Thousands of foundation piles are sunk deep into the sand, and global steel markets are feeling the pressure. But as the world's most ambitious urban revolution becomes reality, what no one tells you is how far ambition will clash with physical limits, deadlines, and billion-dollar risks. So how much of Saudi Arabia's $1 trillion megacity is really on track? And what does it mean if they fail? The official vision sounds almost impossible. A city that runs for 170 kilometers in a straight line, flanked on both sides by mirrored glass walls half a kilometer high. Inside, there are no cars, no streets, and no sprawl. Just a continuous, climate-controlled urban corridor powered entirely by renewable energy. The line is pitched as a zero-carbon city, where every resident is always within a 5-minute walk of nature or daily essentials. The cost? Early estimates ranged from $100 billion, then quickly ballooned to as much as $1 trillion, making it the most expensive city project ever attempted. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, calls it nothing less than a revolution in how people live, work, and move. The promise? 9 million residents by 2045, all living vertically in a space just 200 meters wide. The marketing claims are bold, the renders look like science fiction, and the ambition is off the charts. But behind the slogans, the scale alone demands a closer look. On the ground, the numbers are staggering. Over 140,000 workers are now deployed along the line's corridor, their camps stretching for kilometers across the desert. Recent aerial images reveal a landscape transformed by heavy machinery. Excavators, cranes, and concrete mixers moving in a constant rhythm. The first 4,500 foundation piles have already been driven deep into the earth. Each pile anchors the structure for future towers, with thousands more planned in the next phase. Massive concrete slabs and retaining walls now run parallel to the trench, forming the base for what will become the city's first inhabited section. Material flows into the site at a scale rarely seen in construction. Steel, in particular, is in constant demand. While some headlines claim the line is using a fifth of the world's steel, the real story is more measured. Orders are huge by city building standards, but still a fraction of global production. Still, the effect is felt. Suppliers from Asia and Europe have rerouted shipments, and Saudi Arabia is ramping up its own steel output to keep pace. The evidence is everywhere. This is no longer just a vision. It's a city taking shape, one poured foundation and steel beam at a time. The first major checkpoint stands at the hidden Marina, a 2.5 kilometer stretch designed to house 200,000 people by the end of this decade. This is where the project's vision meets its first real test. Not just concrete foundations, but actual homes, hotels, and businesses ready for life by 2030. Engineers have set their sights on starting vertical construction here in late 2025, when the first above-ground towers are scheduled to rise. The plans call for 9,000 hotel rooms, retail corridors, and an urban marina, twice the scale of most global benchmarks. Alongside the residential and commercial build, preparations are already underway for a stadium intended to host matches during the 2034 FIFA World Cup, a political and logistical deadline that's driving progress on site. These milestones offer something tangible to measure. By 2030, Hidden Marina is expected to be more than a construction zone. It's meant to be a functioning city fragment, with the world's eyes watching to see if the promise holds up under real-world conditions. The original plan promised a city that would run uninterrupted for 170 kilometers, but the reality on the ground is far more cautious. Instead of building the entire length in one go, Saudi Arabia has shifted to a phased strategy, delivering the line in smaller, manageable sections. By 2030, less than 1% of the total distance will be complete, with the first segment stretching just 2.4 kilometers. That means the iconic mirrored walls, meant to soar 500 meters high and enclose a continuous city, will only exist as a fragment for at least another decade. The full vision, 9 million residents living in a seamless vertical city, has been pushed back to 2045 or later. This approach isn't just about scaling back ambition. It's a calculated way to test the concept, adjust to engineering challenges, and control risk as the project unfolds. Each phase becomes a proof of concept, setting the pace for what could eventually become the world's longest and most densely populated urban experiment. The financial muscle behind the line is just as massive as its physical footprint. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, with a $700 billion war chest, is the primary backer, fueling everything from the first piles to the promise of a future metropolis. Early cost projections have already been left behind. What began as a $100 billion idea quickly ballooned to internal estimates as high as $1 trillion. And some outside analysts warn the final bill could reach $8.8 trillion by 2080. That's more than the GDP of most countries, committed to a single urban experiment. The economic stakes are enormous. If the project hits its targets, it could generate 460,000 new jobs and add $48 billion to Saudi Arabia's GDP by 2030. These numbers aren't just theoretical. They're now written into government budgets, international contracts, and the career prospects of hundreds of thousands of workers. For the kingdom, this isn't only about building a city. It's a gamble on transforming its entire economy, with the world watching to see if the investment pays off. Standing inside the line's footprint, the raw engineering is almost beyond belief. The city's mirrored walls will rise more than 1,600 feet, taller than the Empire State Building, stretching in perfect parallel for kilometers across the desert. To anchor these walls, engineers are driving over 15,000 foundation piles deep into sand and rock, creating what's already one of the largest piling operations on record. The foundation alone rivals the mass of entire city districts elsewhere. Beneath the surface, a continuous transit corridor is being carved out for high-speed trains, promising to move people from end to end in minutes. The official plans call for fully autonomous, zero-emission rail. No traffic jams, no private cars, just a seamless underground backbone. Above, the city will run entirely off renewables, with solar arrays and wind farms built into the desert landscape. Even fresh water will be pulled from the Red Sea using advanced desalination plants designed to run on clean energy. Every detail pushes the limits of what's possible, turning the desert into a showcase for technology and ambition on a scale no city has ever attempted. The official delivery roadmap is now split into clear milestones. By 2030, the first operational stretch, centered on the hidden Marina, should be ready for residents, guests, and major events. This segment is intended as a working fragment of the future city, not just a demonstration site. Looking further ahead, the full 170-kilometer vision is now slated for 2045 at the earliest. Funding for each phase is released in stages, with progress measured against these fixed deadlines. For now, all eyes are on that 2030 handover, when the first section of the line must prove the concept works at scale. Every step forward on the line sends ripples far beyond Saudi Arabia's borders. Global suppliers are now juggling contracts, as steel, concrete, and specialty glass orders cascade through Asia and Europe. Industry analysts warn that this scale of procurement could squeeze other construction markets, with price spikes and delivery delays already reported in neighboring countries. Tourism forecasts are just as ambitious. Saudi officials predict millions of visitors each year, drawn by the promise of futuristic hotels and mega events. Yet some experts question whether infrastructure and demand can keep pace. especially as only a fraction of the city will be open by 2030. Environmental voices raise concerns over the project's impact on desert ecosystems and long-term resource use, asking if a city of this magnitude can ever truly be sustainable. For every bold claim, there's an equally pressing question about what it will take to deliver on such a sweeping vision. This could end as a triumph, a scaled-down experiment, or a cautionary tale. Which future do you see for the line? By 2025, more than 140,000 workers and over 4,500 foundational piles mark visible progress on the line, the most ambitious urban project ever attempted. Official documents confirm that only about 1% of the planned 170 kilometers will be finished by 2030, with the hidden Marina and core sections taking priority. Funding from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, with a $700 billion mandate, underscores the scale of commitment, even as cost estimates have soared and delays are acknowledged in public reports. Questions remain about whether the full vision, 9 million residents in a zero-car city, can be delivered by the original 2045 target. Construction photos, financial disclosures, and government statements all point to a project that is real but evolving. The evidence today is clear. The line is under construction, reshaping both the Saudi skyline and the global conversation about the future of cities.